All right, let's talk weather here. We are at the beginning of November. Hope everybody had a wonderful Halloween. Let's talk about what is next in Alabama for the first several days of the new month, November. Hopefully, you all are enjoying that time change. That shift can be rather abrupt. Sunset before 5 o'clock across the state of Alabama until about January 13th. And that's kind of the vibe you get here with wintertime. Still fall, though. It will feel at times very chilly overnight, but we will have mid 70s later in the week. Frigid air could follow a weekend cold front. Lots to break down. I think this is one of those forecasts that might make the most sense if we start with the upper air look. So this is the upper pattern. Now, this time of year, the jet stream starts to fluctuate. It could really tell a story. Remember, in the summertime, we're looking for areas of big ridging, of maybe weak troughing. Here, you can identify and see the polar jet with definitive characteristics here on the map. So where you see the pink, there's your continental polar air. The blue, right in between, there's typically where your jet stream is, and your frontal boundaries will be out ahead of that. And then where you see those oranges, that's the more continental tropical air mass that exists out ahead or to the south of that polar front. So we watch to see where that clash comes, and really through much of the week, it's a very flat, weak ridging across the southeast. You can see that high center, just south of Galveston, Brownsville, Texas, there, northern Mexico, in the extreme southwestern Gulf. But for us, look for a mainly clear sky, at least through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, a few high clouds. And then notice that little notch in the jet stream. That's a little short wave that'll be dipping south, and that'll bring about rain chances Friday into Saturday. And then this is a much bigger swing. This is a more potent trough. Look at that. We call that a long wave trough. Okay, it's not a little short perturbation. This is a deep kind of wedge in the jet stream, and that signifies some colder air aloft, and that usually translates to colder air at the surface. This one's not especially deep with respect to the southeast in Alabama, but this will usher in a period of potentially much colder air by early next week. Start from the top. Temperatures the next couple of days. Here's a look at Tuesday's highs. 70s across the state, mid 70s in several locations. Then we look at Wednesday, and our overnight lows are going to come up a little bit, but expect 40s in many spots here, at least through Wednesday morning. We'll start to have more 50s late in the week. This is Wednesday afternoon, 70s across much of the state, and all of this comes with sunshine, clear blue skies. It's absolutely beautiful. By Thursday, morning lows near 50, afternoon highs will be in the mid 70s. So let's go now to our next potential rainmaker, right? This is Friday afternoon. Lots of stuff happening this weekend. I know there's weddings taking place. There's of course, big game, I'm told, in Tuscaloosa. LSU coming to town. But we are going to see a frontal boundary approaching. Couple notes on this. The center of this, what we call synoptic system, is going to be over the Midwest. It's going to be over the Ohio Valley. We're going to get the remnants or the trailing cold front from this. So we won't have an especially strong forcing with it. We're not going to have exceptionally high moisture levels with it. Severe weather's not on the table. And what we're more than likely to see is spotty showers picking up late in the day Friday, continuing overnight, and then potentially wrapping up early Saturday. Here's what I know about this. The timing could change. The overall rain totals could change. However, I feel pretty good about this being a fairly weak system. Low rainfall totals in general. And this is going to probably bring about some much colder air, but by early in the week. Not necessarily for the football game, not for your weather on Saturday. In fact, we turn partly cloudy with a westerly wind on Saturday afternoon. I don't see any reason why rain would continue past the early morning hours unless this thing really changes its speed. The remnant trough has not moved through. The front will have pushed through, but we'll still have the chance for some rain. It looks like early Sunday. Then we turn very breezy Sunday afternoon, and that's going to be that colder air working in here. We'll talk about that in just a second. This is a look at rainfall totals, the WPC, average rain over the next 7 days. So these are very low totals. All of this is really under a half an inch, and this would account for the only system we have on the board, which would be that Friday into Saturday system. So again, especially high rain totals, not expected. If you have plans, if you're tailgating at the game, I don't expect especially high rain totals. Let's go to our future temperatures. This is Sunday night at 10 o'clock. Sunday night into Monday morning, we're going to be in the midst of that shift to colder air, right? So we'll be in the 30s Monday morning, but I think the coldest air could very well be here by Tuesday. Again, this is way down the road. Lots of wiggle room here for change. It is going to be cold. This will be post-frontal. The exact number, I don't know yet, but I do know it's going to be cold. Perhaps the coldest morning we've had. Some models suggesting some 20s along and north of I-20. a freeze all the way down to potentially Dothan and the Wiregrass. So again, this is the time of year we really watch these fronts, these surges of polar air, continental polar air. Good news if you can't stand the cold, which I've heard several things about already. We've got potentially slightly above average temperatures expected through the middle of the month, so we'll keep you posted on that. Tropical season. Melissa was a beast last week, but the tropics look absolutely benign, and no development is expected over the next 7 days. More good news here. We are towards the end of tropical season. Here's our map. I like to do this every week. We are now past really a period where we don't see a ton of development. There have been some notable storms that happened within early November, but I feel pretty good that we are headed towards the end, if not already there, of tropical season, and now we are into the synoptic fronts, much more turbulent mid-latitude cyclone season, and we'll be watching that closely as well. That's your forecast here for this week ahead in November. Y'all have a great day.